I'll hand over to James from Zella, and I'll also just be around to let people in if we get anyone else in the waiting room. Over to you, James.
Brilliant. Can I share my screen? Am I sharing it?
I can see that. Welcome to Zella.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. How you doing? I'm James from Zella. I look after I head up the product and marketing here at Zella, and it's my pleasure to be able to talk to you about a really fantastic initiative that the North East Combined Authority is running with Zella at the moment. So really keen to basically enlighten you and to get some feedback. So firstly, what is it? Well, basically, we think it's a golden opportunity really for SMEs. The North of Tyne Combined Authority, it's one of dozens of forward-thinking councils across Britain that is funding local businesses to start their sustainability journey with a free year on Zella. The aim of the programme really is, I guess, at a top level, it's to help to support the region's net zero growth and targets. But it's also a really good opportunity to help SMEs save money and to support their transition to becoming a greener business, which in turn will improve their competitiveness because customers, funders, regulators are all demanding change in this area. In fact, according to the FSB, 15% of SMEs last year were actually asked to evidence or disclose their carbon data. And 2/3 expect that requirement to grow. And that's actually quite big because, up until now, this has really been the domain of bigger businesses in terms of legislation. Only requires businesses with over 250 members of staff to actually put forward to evidence their carbon disclosure. But there is now this kind of supply chain pressure that's coming down. So the requirement is becoming, it's becoming more and more prevalent every year. And this programme, brought to you by Zella and the North East Combined Authority, really helps you to get ahead of that compliance curve. Importantly, save costs in the process because this shouldn't cost a lot of money. There's lots of systems out there at the minute that are really aimed at the kind of the bigger businesses. But this really is an opportunity to really prove your sustainability credentials before those expectations become obligations. So as I've said, right now, small businesses, they face rising costs, shrinking margins, and this increasing pressure from their supply chain partners, lenders, to show their sustainability progress. But they don't really know how to figure that out. They just don't know how to measure their emissions. 80% of them basically say they'd like to do it, but they just have 60% no idea where to start. And that's exactly why we built Zella. The idea was to make sustainability simple, practical, and cost savings and really affordable for SMEs. And by joining through this North of Tyne offer, businesses can access a really simple digital tool, completely free for a year, and start realising both those financial and environmental benefits. The way the system works is it really helps you to complete 3 really valuable things. First thing it does, it helps you to calculate your carbon footprint. We have some really cool tools. Basically, you just enter your postcode and it'll actually pull back your energy data, which is a massive part of your emissions. So we can actually just automatically turn that into an emissions profile and feed that into your scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. We also help you to identify cost saving opportunities through doing that as well with energy. Most SMEs can find immediate quick wins as well. So there's this ability to save money within the platform. Lots of ideas, lots of projects, lots of habits that you can do in order to save money, reduce costs, and also in doing that, you're obviously reducing your carbon footprint. Really importantly as well, it helps you, because we talked about evidence earlier, really helps you to evidence that. So it generates reports that you can share with funders, councils, customers, keeping you compliant and also keeping you supply chain ready. So the architecture that we've built for the programme, again, I've tried to keep it really, really simple. When we've built it, we've put it into 3 sections so that it's not overwhelming. We have missions, projects, and rituals, okay? So missions help you to measure your emissions and set realistic targets. Rituals help you to embed very small micro habits on a daily basis that in the long term, as they add up, make efficiency second nature, but also continue to build aggregated returns and cost savings. And then we have projects, which are kind of bigger infrastructure projects, working out, is solar right for me? Do I need a battery? Should I transition to an EV fleet? All of these kind of things guided by the coaching platform that help to hold your hand through all those transition projects, which are, at the end of the day, are the things that are really going to drive your emissions down over the longer term. So again, just going to briefly just go over those. So this is your missions, calculate your scope 1 and 2 emissions again. Most of this is done through a simple postcode scrape. We've got energy data that comes in automatically. All you need to do is to give consent to read that data, and we can automatically read your data, and you can see all your spikes in electricity just as if you had a smart meter, and whether you have a smart meter or not. That also then turns that into emissions data, which you can then use to report. Second part of the platform is rituals. Again, this is all about creating habits that stick, finding ways of making people around your building, the people that operate in it every day, can build tailored checklists, things like making sure you've turned off the lights, turned off the computers, check the temperature settings on the heating, making sure you're not wasting money. And every task that you complete actually builds streaks. So there's kind of like a gamification, which is quite fun. You can also share them with your team members. Everything also builds your Zella score as well, which I'll come on to talk about in a minute. And you can also see, as you're doing those micro engagements, you can actually see how much money it's saving you, which is pretty cool. And then finally, the project. So yeah, this is basically a big catalogue of a big project library catalogue of all the things that you can do, from switching to LED lighting, installing solar, improving insulation. We help to connect you with trusted suppliers, commission free. Each completed project, again, boosts your profile and demonstrates measurable progress to funders and your procurement teams, and it makes you more competitive in the long run. And also, obviously, you can start to bring down those carbon emissions on a year-on-year basis. Last part of the platform is we have a sustainability score and profile. Basically, everybody gets a score. You can see that here in this sort of top left here with the 650. This basically, the simplest way to think about it is it's kind of like a credit score for sustainability. So anybody can see at a glance how well you're doing. This can be used to drive internal targets, external targets. You can share it with your employees. You can share it with your stakeholders. You can share it with somebody who might want to invest with you. It just gives you that really simple, at a glance. Nobody wants to spend too much time on this thing. At a glance, where am I now? Where do I want to go in the future? It's just a really cool metric for that. Again, in the FSB survey, half of SMEs said they actually fear losing contracts if they can't show their progress on net zero. So things like this, I think, really help to solve that problem. It's not just good PR; it's really just a smart business insurance for the future, really. And then, really, really, really important, we have a reporting platform. So everything you do in the platform can automatically be downloaded at any point, and we generate a report automatically for you. This is super important. I think we sort of said earlier that SMEs feel like they don't really know how to do this. This report is already SBTi compliant. It makes sure that you could send this to a lender, you could send it to a council for a grant, you could send it to a procurement officer to fulfill your supply chain procurement requirements. And we know that more contracts are being driven by sustainably driven buyers. So this would give you access to green fundings, all sorts of things. So this is really, really super important. And again, it's something that you can future-proof your business and get ahead of those obligations before they become so. So how can you sign up? So the good news is, as I say, thanks to the Combined Authority, 300 businesses across the region can get 1 year of Zella for completely free. It's worth £349. Well, actually, that's from £349, depending on the size of business. But that obviously includes charities and non-profits too. It's a practical, funded way to take control of your emissions and your energy bills and to prepare for the future. Places are limited, so obviously first come, first serve. So encourage businesses to act quickly and share the word as well. If you're on the seminar now and you know another business that might be interested in this, please do share it. We do want to get the word out. It's very quick and easy. So all you need to do is to go to app.zella.com. And I believe Marianne will be sharing this afterwards anyway, won't we? So if you haven't got a pen, if you can't remember that, then don't worry. How to join will be circulated afterwards. Just so you understand what happens once you've registered. The Zella walks you through a setup process, and that setup process is basically you will complete those first 3 missions. Now, there is a little bit of time investment required here, 30 to 45 minutes, perhaps, if you're if you haven't got everything to hand. But once you do that, once you've put that information in, that is it. You could then generate a report from the minute you get in there, and you would be able to provide that, you'll be able to send that off to anybody who's asking for your green credentials. Obviously, there's lots of things that you can do in the platform beyond that, which would be more about driving your emissions down. But in terms of generating a report and having data that's active from the word go, once you complete that sign up process, it's all there. So it means that you get value from the platform from day one. So yeah, I mean, join today. Enjoy a growing community of forward-thinking, sustainable businesses. And thank you very much for your time. If anybody wants to send me an email, it's james@zella.com. Any questions, please do ask. I don't know whether we've got a questions and answers, Marianne, but I think that's my 10 minutes, so I'll stop.
Perfect. Thanks, James. Yes, if anybody's got any immediate questions, just raise your hand, or we'll also have some time at the end for questions as well. Can't see any immediate questions, so I'll move on, but we'll have some time for questions at the end as well. So we'll just hand over to David from Best, if that's okay, just to speak about the Best scheme.
Great, thank you. Yes, good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to present this morning. I've got a presentation on the Business Energy Saving Team project, which hopefully is displaying on screen now. So, yeah, I work within the Energy Services team within the City Council in Newcastle. We're the lead authority for the BEST project, and it's been running since 2019. And we've supported over 400 businesses within the Northeast, and help businesses reduce their annual energy bills by over £500,000 in that time. So it's a project we're running till April next year, and we've got grants and we've got energy advice and audits available to help businesses to reduce their energy emissions, energy use and carbon emissions, and as well as improving the bottom line. So yes, in terms of the offer for this year, we can provide energy audits and technical support to help identify and develop energy saving improvements for businesses that are based in Newcastle, Gateshead, North Tyneside and Northumberland. And that support is flexible depending on the needs of the business and size and scope of the energy saving opportunities that present themselves. And we can help businesses with a grant. The grant in Gateshead is a maximum of £10,000. And the grant available in the north of Tyne area is £25,000. So, for example, if potentially a project costs £50,000 for, let's say, solar PV, potentially that could achieve or attract a grant of 45% towards that. The 50% grant is available for projects such as low carbon heating systems, air source and ground source heat pumps. So the 50% could be available for the sort of those kind of technologies there. Let's say the advice and support we can give is flexible. A business can access the program to get advice and support on a particular technology or opportunity they'd like to take forward towards a grant, or they can have the kind of full service of an energy audit to help identify energy saving opportunities for their business. And we've supported a range of different sectors across the region in this time. I'm looking to do the same again across the next 6 months. You know, we've supported retail premises, hospitality, manufacturing, large industrial units, voluntary and community sector organisations. So yeah, quite a range of different organisations and buildings within the Northeast. In terms of how business can get signed up for the programme, there's a short inquiry form available on our website. You can go there and access that. We just ask for a few details on the business, get some details in terms of the registration process for making sure that our business is eligible in terms of the size of that business. And we also ask for some further information if they've got any particular projects or opportunities they'd like to take forward for that business in terms of energy saving, solar PV, lighting. If there's anything, how far down the line are they in this process? They may have access to the Zella programme, identified some opportunities there, and then looking to apply to BEST for some further advice and funding to take those recommendations forward, or they may be just starting out. And so it's just we asked for some further information if that's available on the inquiry form. It doesn't have to be completed, but it just helps us to understand where that business is on their journey. So once registration is complete, we can then take the business forward. See, the advice and support we can provide is flexible. We can offer a site visit and carry out an energy audit of the premises to help identify the short, medium and long-term energy saving opportunities for that business. And we can offer advice, particular kind of technologies, and take that business through each stage. Apologies, my connection's gone a bit. There we go. Sorry. So yes, then looking forward to the next stage. So once the business has had the energy audit report, we can then look at those recommendations, and there's just an example table of the opportunities for a particular business. We identify the estimated cost of the improvement, look at the forecasted energy bill savings, the carbon emission reduction that improvement would achieve, as well as the payback period. So then we can work through with the business and identify if there's any of these recommendations they'd like to take forward. For example, if they'd like to look at the lighting, so with a 45% grant available, that would help to reduce the sort of overall capital cost of the business down to sort of £4,400, and reduce the payback period by a couple of years as well. So there's good ways we can help the business take these recommendations forward from the audit report. I say that the grant funding we have available, we've got up to £25,000 available in the north of Tyne area, and up to £10,000 available in Gateshead. And it's a 45% contribution for many technologies, such as solar PV, lighting, insulation works, etc. And the 50% contribution is available for low carbon heating, such as air source and ground source heat pumps. And we've got a funding round running this month, and I'm encouraging businesses to sign up as soon as they can this month to give them a chance of applying for a grant by the closing date of the 5th November. And we've had a lot of good interest across the last 6 months since the project started this year. And we're looking to help more businesses over the next couple of months as well. I see the sort of technologies we can help support, quite a range. There's a few examples on screen there I've mentioned, and we can support battery storage if it is installed as part of a solar PV project. And battery storage, we know that can help improve the business case if a business can store that energy when the generation is taking place, and then use it when the building's in operation later on in the day. And we can also look at supporting businesses with grants to invest in new plant and equipment. And we've done that. There's a business in North Tyneside that we help to support with a grant to improve their printing equipment, and making an investment around sort of £25,000 to improve their operations and reduce their energy use. There's a few examples of case studies of businesses that have access to grant, just briefly. I'm conscious of time, but there's quite a range of different types of organisations and businesses and sort of technologies we've supported in the last few years. And they've made that investment in terms of their time and capital costs, and it's helped to realise some really kind of powerful kind of savings for those businesses and organisations. In North Tyneside, the Lynn Skills Centre, £14,000 they managed to save per year installing solar panels. I'm sure that's quite attractive. And a business in Newcastle, a bakery, who managed to realise some real strong savings with upgrading refrigeration equipment, lighting and heating systems. There's plenty more information on the website in terms of case studies and FAQs, and I'm happy to take any questions this morning and share the slides afterwards.
Great, thanks, Dave. Are there any immediate questions? Just to plug, I will be able to, we have got the recording, and then also on the kind of links of where to apply, I'll be able to share them with attendees as well. Great. I'll just move over to Daniel and the BEEP project, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Okay. So my name's Daniel, and I'm a member of the Business Energy Efficiency Project at Durham County Council. So I'm an energy officer within that team, and we do a very similar thing to everything that's just being described there with BEST, but for the County Durham region. Okay, so who we are. So again, BEEP offer free bespoke energy advice to SMEs and community projects across County Durham. So we work with a wide range of businesses, different sizes. We match our community projects to the needs of each different business. With a deep understanding of the concerns and needs of local employers, we endeavour to address rising energy, national insurance and living costs by identifying examples of energy waste and renewable generation opportunities. Since 2018, we've supported over 700 businesses in reducing their energy demands, which is safeguarding jobs and assisting growth through the advice provided in our personalised energy surveys and reports. So the process is that we will discuss your concerns. We can come in, we'll complete an energy audit, and you'll receive a detailed report on the back of that, which goes into the ways in which you can save your energy, your finances, and your carbon emissions. And we'll go into that in more detail in a second. Overall, our goal is to reduce local energy demands, to reduce national emissions. I think we've always approached it with an understanding that whilst we want to reduce down energy usage and we want to reduce down the emissions for the county and for the rest of the country, we understand that the concerns of the business may also be these costs, and we're kind of trying to transition into a way where both take just as much priority to match your own concerns. So who we help. So whilst we primarily work with SMEs, we are open to most businesses across the county, and these have included warehouses, garages, museums, nurseries, retail, sports clubs, gymnasiums, salons, offices, manufacturers and fabricators, restaurants, farms, hotels and holiday cottages, community centres, public houses, and many, many others. To be honest, I think we've worked with most different type of businesses that you can think of at this point. But every now and then there's a few that get thrown in there that you didn't even realise was a thing. So if you are interested, if you feel like you're not represented in any of those categories, still feel free to contact us. I will share the links at the end of how you can do so, because you may still be able to apply. And we can help people from sole traders all up to large factories and things like that. So what to expect? So we aim for every energy survey to be personal to your business and your current and future concerns. So once completed, you'll then be sent a detailed and comprehensive report that covers the topics discussed. Now, these will include things like energy contract analysis. So the team have very different backgrounds. We have people who work within the energy supply industry. We have people who worked in finance, and we have people who worked in regeneration fields. And we each use our own specialities and prior knowledge to build that into the reports and work collaboratively. So with your energy contract analysis, for example, we can sit down, go over your records, see what sort of length of time you're fixed into rates, see how that compares to national and regional statistics and current average prices, and see if we can work with you and your energy supplier to address anything that may be brought up. So whether you're being, for example, if you have charitable status and you're being charged the high VAT rates, or you're paying climate change levies unnecessarily because your energy usage doesn't hit the de minimis threshold, we'll identify that for you and help you to work with the supplier to have those charges removed. Another aspect we'll include with your reports is our lighting matrix. And what that will do is it will go into detail. You'll have in the report, it will tell you if you were to change your lighting over to the most modern equivalent, say LEDs, for example, which are generally the cheaper and more efficient to use. We'll give you a breakdown of each room in your building, which lights are in there, what the expected time of usage is for that, based upon our discussions with you during the audit and when we visited the building. And it will allow you to adjust that to match what you feel is relevant. So if you think we've slightly underestimated when you may use lighting in a particular office, you can increase that. And what it will then do is look at the wattage of the bulbs in that room and tell you what financial impact that has, what carbon impact that has. It will also then tell you exactly what saving you can make by making the transitions we're suggesting to LEDs. So it'll give you a full breakdown of that. We also then look at heating alternatives, things such as heat pumps, destratification fans, infrared heating, and it will be tailored again to each room within the building. So, and this again can be as detailed as you want it to be. If you have a mixed space, for example, a factory that also has office spaces, one heating system will not necessarily be the right for the other. And we'll look at the different ways in which you can implement different systems if that is the best solution for you. We look at solar payback and expected generation. So we'll complete an analysis of your roof or any space you have to complete a solar array installation. And we will then use national tools to identify how much we expect you to generate from an array in that position, any sort of obstructions you might face with that, any shading that we've identified, and give you an expected generation across a 10-year period. So we'll look at when you may expect to pay that back, whether it'll be beneficial, for example, for you to get a battery alongside that. We'll look at when you're expecting to be within the building to use the energy and what percentage of your generation you use yourself, as well as using current rates for the smart export guarantee to see what sort of finance you can get back for that excess generation. We'll look at electric vehicles as well, so we can check your fleet and see whether it be suitable for you to change to electric. For example, if we know approximately how many miles you travel within a year, the sort of distances you're traveling, where it will be beneficial for you to make that transition as well, and can also support you with funding to install EV charging points. Final sections as well, as we will look at the carbon impacts of each of these different things and how much carbon you're expected to produce from your current systems and the savings that can be made by making the changes. Okay. So how we help. So since conception, BEEP have reduced the carbon emissions of local businesses by over 3,000 tonnes. This has been achieved through a combination of personal investment and public funding, as well as many cost-free behavioural changes. So that's something that it's easy to forget, is that there's a lot of places we go to where it's just simply bad habits that are resulting in high energy bills and high costs, and we've managed to save people quite large amounts of money just by suggesting changes to their practices. We're currently working in conjunction with 2 local projects that offer financial support SMEs looking to reduce their emissions. So we are working with the Durham Business Growth Project, which is an SPF funded project, and there's a Business Durham-led support scheme that seeks to develop growth via digital productivity and energy improvement plans. So we're part of a wider project with that one. That offers a 40% revenue and capital funding for BEEP identified energy saving measures for projects up to £25,000. So you can receive that funding with private funding for the rest of the project. And that can be included into other funding you receive. So you may apply to the Durham Business Growth Project and they may be able to assist you with improving a website as well, or the productivity of your business, and that can be incorporated into the grant funding you receive, so you can get for multiple things. We also work with the Derwent Valley AAP, which is a project that is offering up to 100% funding for smaller carbon reduction investments. So that'd be anyone in the sort of concert area or the surrounding areas. And that, again, it's 100% funding but it's up to £2,500. So that's for smaller projects, a small solar array, for example, or a lighting upgrade, something like that. So supporting solar case studies. So though BEEP has secured funding for many different energy saving projects over the last 8 years, we have seen increased successes in 2025 with SMEs adopting our advice for photovoltaic solar installations. So we have one example is the Watergate Fishing Lake, and they've received funding for an 18 kilowatt solar array that allows their glamping business to function completely off-grid. This has already saved the site £32,000 by avoiding the cost of a mains grid connection, as well as the fact that they won't be paying anything for their energy moving forward. It's all set up. They've also got a 20 kilowatt battery for the evening times. It's all fully functioning as we speak. You can see there on the right, we have the director there, quote saying that we're a small family business with zero emissions, and it's what they've always wanted. And that's the kind of feedback we're getting from these projects at the moment. It's really good. We also worked with the Bright Start Day nurseries recently. So both Busy Bees and Busy Bears nurseries have each received funding for a 10 kilowatt solar array. It's estimated this will reduce the group's operating costs by £7,200 per year and save 4 tonnes of CO2. Investing in the future. So it isn't always possible to secure public funding for the proposals we make, but many businesses have still experienced great benefits from BEEP's intervention. So the Durham City Golf Club, for example, we spoke before about the energy contract. So BEEP identified discrepancies in the club's energy contracts that have saved them £13,000. This was simple as the fact that they had 2 different energy supplies to the building, contracted with the same company, contracts agreed at the same time, but they were paying marginally different unit rates for the 2 contracts. When we spoke to the supplier with the golf club, they were able to reduce down the high rate to the lower rate, which made this saving. And that's now being reinvested into improving their energy efficiency across the building. They are upgrading lights and things like that, looking to fit solar at the moment. We then have Bearing and Sales Purchase, a small factory and warehouse. This business has adopted BEEP's advice to move from diesel to an electric consultancy vehicle. So we spoke to them about the costs of the petrol, the diesel, that they were using for the car. We looked at the mileage for an annual period and identified that they could fit a EV charging point to their car park, and the savings that would be made from a carbon perspective and financial by upgrading to an electric car, which they're now very happy with. We also have worked with the Bose Museum. They're currently in the process of following BEEP's suggestion to upgrade all their halogen spotlights to LEDs. And I'm sure as you can imagine, with a museum of that size and a building that size, that's quite a lot of light. Once complete, this is going to save the organisation £20,000 a year and 15 tonnes of CO2. So as you can see from that, we can see a lot of success from those that are funded by the different projects, but also success from those businesses that haven't been able to secure funding, but are still being able to make these changes either through their own personal funding or just by making these few changes or calls to different people. Okay. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm open for any questions if anyone has any.
Great, thanks, Daniel. Just checking out there any immediate questions. If not, I'll hand over to Graham from the Breeze team.
Yes. Bear with me while I try and commence this slideshow. And share 2 seconds. My apologies.
Don't worry.
Can you see that?
Yep, Breeze retrofit. Yep.
Yeah, so my apologies. I thought this was just a 2-slide presentation. So I've just used 2 slides. I've got to say, the background to Breeze, the kind of general approach in terms of who we help and what we do, very similar to both BEST and BEEP. So perhaps you won't have to listen to me kind of repeat those delivery outcomes. So Breeze is now in its 6th year. It was previously funded by ERDF and subsequently UK SPF to the present day. We're on Breeze 3 now. After 6 years, we believe we have a local brand which is promoted and delivered locally to all enterprises and community organisations in Sunderland. Previously under ERDF, it was just smaller SMEs, but under UK SPF, we can help any organisation regardless of size. Generally speaking, we offer 50% grants. We have to strike, with the funding that's available, we have to strike a balance between offering a few high-value grants to larger enterprises and, generally speaking, a lot more average-sized grants. So it's high-value grants of 25,000 to a few big businesses, and then, generally speaking, a average grant of around 7,500 to smaller businesses. We offer grants for cost-effective proposals, so we have reasonably kind of robust parameters to which we work, and we wouldn't fund anything that exceeds a 7-year payback term, give or take a few considerations. And for lighting, which is extremely cost effective, of course, or to an LED upgrade, we insist on 4 years or less. From my perspective, that is good business talk. We're basically saying this is the return you get on your investment. This is how long it's going to take you to recover the cost. So I think that's the way the businesses like to approach energy efficiency and low carbon opportunities. Our process is pretty straightforward in that following our marketing, we will respond to expressions of interest. We'll have an initial consultation, an audit, a walk around the premises. And what we tend to find with most of the applicants, the smaller everyday businesses that are looking to try save money where they can within a budget, we agree what that retrofit priority or priorities are within the budget that's available. We agree that budget at the first consultation. So from that point, we know what to expect from the applicant, and the applicant knows what to expect from us in terms of grant funding that might be available. Of course, it's important that we work the timelines as well, with deadlines on funding applications and what have you. So that by and large sums up the initial approach: site visit, compliance photographs, site visit report, and an audit. And from that point on, we hand the responsibility for completion over to the business. And we ask them to get the right quotes. It's one quote for under 10,000, three for between 10 and 50, and it's an invitation to tender over 50. The business selects their own contractor and their own quote. They have to be satisfied with the works in terms of their completion, and we will then, and upon their confirmation of that, we will then into a defrayal and grant payment process. I think delivery is riddled with challenges and issues, and as well as all the wonderful opportunities, there's a lot to overcome. And I find that getting from A to B is sometimes a lot easier said than done. And issue management is a key factor in delivery, as is relationship management, managing that relationship. And all businesses and all business owners and all health and safety guys are all different. So when you're dealing with multiple applications from a lot of different people, being able to manage the delivery of a scheme locally, I feel is essential. And there's some interesting outcomes under Breeze 2 and still happening with Breeze 3, where contractors are running around telling businesses that solar panels are a permitted development. Well, you know, that's what everyone wants to hear. That's what a lot of businesses believe. And of course, if we're going to give them some public funding towards the cost of their solar panels, that's not the case. Sunderland, they have to get consent to advise them that they don't need planning permission or they do need planning permission. We find with panels as well that there can be structural issues. Heating jobs sometimes involve big heating upgrades, sometimes involve enabling works which add to the cost and reduce cost effectiveness. Asbestos removal can be a good example there. Timing, making sure that jobs are completed within the boundaries of the scheme. There's always a mad dash towards the end of each scheme, but it's funny how when you start kind of warning businesses that time's running out, suddenly applications start coming in. And within the local authority, I think we also kind of have an offer flexibility, discretionary flexibility. We set out the metrics of the scheme on the web page. That manages expectations from the outset, but we do allow, in the business case for Breeze, we do allow for a little bit of local authority discretion in terms of the a little bit of flexibility on the grant we'll pay or the payback term, depending on various factors, such as the amount of carbon savings and the business or the community group. I think it's important to make sure that Breeze or any scheme doesn't become just grab a grant. And I say we encourage, we actually insist upon carbon and cost effectiveness responsibility. We ensure that the applicant and their contractor process their quote into energy, carbon and payback calculations for all measures, and they must do that. They've got to give it a go. Sometimes they need a help. We give them calculation templates which help them through a step-by-step approach. There's an example of that on our webpage there, but it's their responsibility to prove that their job is cost-effective, carbon-effective, and a robust proposition. We also check a little bit on things like the quality of measures. For lighting, for example, it must have a 5-year warranty at the very least, and sometimes we'll help with health and safety, and we'll want to see a lighting design where there's moving parts in a factory, that kind of thing. Everything you might want to know about Breeze, how it works, how we can help you, how we can't help you, because there are lots of ways in which we can't help businesses, is there to see on our webpage. Breeze 1, 2 and 3, over 200 businesses, and we have some excellent case studies, pardon me, in carbon outcomes. That's Breeze in a nutshell. In many ways, very similar to Best and Beep, perhaps with its own little local nuances. This is just our current performance dashboard, where we are. We can see how we measure where we are with this. We have, in terms of business funding channel, we have 3 at the initial stages, 8 are quoting, 3 grant awards, 7 are currently installing measures. We've had 4 that cancelled and didn't progress, and we have 4 that are basically going to be converted into. We've been out there, we've done an audit, and they're going to give us the 3 hours for the advice and support, but it's not going to be converted into a grant. And we use the same process to review the project for Breeze and community. That's Breeze in a nutshell. 2 slides. Any questions?
Great, thanks, Graham. I'll just check if there's any immediate questions. And then if not, I'll just hand over to Laura to talk through some of the work we're doing around retrofit. This is more for kind of support for employees, or somewhere businesses could signpost to support for their employees.
Thanks, Marianne. And yes, as Marianne says, this is more about information that you can pass on to your employees rather than actually being aimed at businesses. So my name's Laura Hood. I'm the Programme Manager for Domestic Retrofit here at the Combined Authority. And our team is part of the Clean Energy and Environment team. And I'm going to be talking through our new North East Warm Homes one-stop shop service that we're delivering with our partner local authorities. So whereas Graham had 2 slides, I've actually only got 1 slide. So we should still finish on time, hopefully. So the new North East Warm Homes one-stop shop service is part of our retrofit programme 2025 to 27. It also includes formation of a regional task force to support development of a regional retrofit strategy and action plan. So just to give a little bit of context for where this advice service kind of sits alongside. The overall objectives of the one-stop shop service are to increase resident demand and confidence in retrofit and to support individual households towards the installation of measures which will lower their energy bills, make their homes warmer and more comfortable, and reduce domestic carbon emissions across the North East. So since March 2024, the Combined Authorities worked with our 7 local authority partners to deliver a service called Home Energy Advice North East. This actually comes to an end on the 31st of October. It's supported over 2,000 households in the past sort of year, 18 months. And this new North East Warm Homes service is replacing Home Energy Advice North East. And again, we're continuing to work with our partner local authorities to deliver it. So the new service will provide online, telephone and in-person energy and retrofit advice to any resident or private landlord across the Combined Authority region. This includes technical property level advice to identify retrofit improvements which are appropriate for that particular property, alongside other support to enable a household to progress towards making these improvements. So for many, that support is around assessing eligibility for grant funding and accessing this, or alternative financing options. There'll be other support that's necessary for many of the households that the service engages with, particularly those that are in risk of or experiencing fuel poverty, and our advisors are well linked with other services. We'll refer people to welfare advice organisations, like Citizens Advice, and food banks for immediate support when families are in crises. Advisors will also provide kind of ongoing support. They really do sort of offer as much or as little kind of hand-holding as is necessary for that particular household. It's a very kind of bespoke service. They can liaise with installers on behalf of the household if that's required, for example, and will provide advice and aftercare for residents on how to actually kind of live with the new low carbon systems and kind of getting the most out of those. The service also includes an end-to-end offer for the able to pay. This is delivered through Formworks, who manage all stages of the retrofit install journey for that household. So they'll conduct an initial survey to identify recommended installations and will project manage the whole process. They have locally based subcontracted installers who will fit the measures. They will do quality checks on those. They will provide aftercare to customers. As I said, that's a kind of a paid service, but what the consumer gets on top of what they would get if they were doing this outside of this service is that they get that kind of full project management from OneWorks. And the Combined Authority has procured Energy Saving Trust to deliver the service on its behalf. In-person advice is provided by locally based advice services, so Community Action Northumberland, do this across Northumberland, and groundwork have advisors in the other 6 local authority areas. And although the service is open to all residents and private sector landlords, we are specifically targeting support towards people in fuel poverty in the private rented sector, as this has the kind of worst condition housing overall. We're also working closely with our colleagues who are delivering work to reduce child poverty to really ensure that families who will benefit most from the support are targeted. We're in the process of mobilising the service at the moment. And web and telephone advice is due to go live on the 1st of November, and then in-person advice will follow from December. I've included the contact details for the service on the slide. We've got the web address there and the telephone number, and these will go live from the start of November. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura. That's all of our speakers for today. Thank you very much to everyone for taking time out of your day to present. We've got 5 minutes left, so I just wanted to check if there's any questions. As mentioned, we have got the recording, so I'll be able to share that. Oh, Graham, I can see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just on Zeller, a couple of questions. There's that £349 a year, and in a world of diminishing returns when it comes to carbon reduction, what expected term would you expect a business to keep the software for it to be cost effective, so to speak? And I'm thinking of smaller businesses here, because £350 a year could negate a pretty sizable chunk of your energy savings.
Well, I mean, there's lots of energy there's lots of energy savings that you can do within the platform for a start. So we, average cost savings that we've seen, are in the thousands. There is also a time cost, as I mentioned during the presentation. There is an increasing burden, if you like, upon small businesses to be able to report this stuff, right? And to do that takes a lot of time. It's a time-intensive process. Now, you could go and spend, thousands of pounds with a consultant to do it for you, or you could employ somebody to do it, or you could, maybe work it out and do it yourself and take a couple of days doing it. So I guess, there's not only the time savings and the cost benefit, but there's the, what's it going to cost me if I don't have this stuff? As I say, this is something that once you've done it, you can then share it with as many stakeholders as you like. You've just got to go update it every year. So in those terms, it's kind of like, yes, you could hire an accountant. If you're doing your year end for HMRC, you could hire an accountant. You could spend lots of money doing it that way, but you've got to report it. And carbon emissions is going to become an obligation just like that. So I think it depends on which way you look at it, but I would certainly say that everybody on there should save money. We can also do energy switching. I know a lot of the speakers today have talked about energy advice. So the company that we run alongside also is one of the largest energy brokers in the UK, and we can switch people for we've got basically the best market rates in the business. So if people want to transition to green energy, we can help them to do that super effectively. Very, very low commissions. So yeah, there's tons of savings in there.
Yeah, I probably might get back in touch and ask how it might work with Breeze or.
Well, I mean, it occurred to me as all of you are speaking, actually, and it's something that we're doing with a number of other councils where, that it becomes part of the grant submissions process, because there is also, I know you talked about, specifically you talked about, making sure that people are using robust calculations up front and that the investments they're making are going to deliver, and that the grant itself stands up and makes sense. Or obviously, having Zello, you've got this sort of retrospective, you can actually see the impact that it's had. So you can then go and actually say, well, that grant did have impact. So it's not just about applying for the grant. The most important thing is, what does it deliver afterwards?
And that was going to be my second question. If to keep it really simple, we offered someone a £7,500 grant for a lighting upgrade, that could be put into Zeller and monitored in terms of
100%.
payback over the
100%.
years. Yeah.
So we are just working with, I can't say the name, but we're working with a major household sporting brand, should I say, right? Competition brand. And they have, they basically have a fund, like it's £9 million fund that supports stadiums up and down the country, okay, at a grassroots level. And they've done a big campaign on LED lighting, and the Zeller program is now part of that, so that they can understand how that LED lighting has had impact. Because it's all very well giving out money, but if impact, then it's you need to be able to prove the impact, and that's partly why we exist.
Right. Thanks, James. Sorry, we've got just coming up to 11 o'clock. I've just seen we've got 2 last questions in the chat. So if anybody else has any final questions, feel free just to pop them in the chat or raise your hand. So the 2 questions we've got is, 1, is the offer of free Zeller licenses available to SMEs and Gateshead? And 2, can Zeller generate or export a ppm 006 carbon reduction plan?
Yes, to the second point. For the first point, I think so. It is open to Gateshead. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'll let you confirm that, Marianne. I'm not sure of the geographical and political landscape, but as far as I'm aware, if it's in NECA, then it is. Yeah, there we go. Someone's confirmed it. But yes, PPN 006. Yeah, we work with councils, and which is obviously, that's a procurement standard. And yeah, absolutely, it's all GHG compliant, PPN 06, 006 compliant. So yes, and as I say, once you do the missions process, which is the onboarding process at the start of Zeller, you pretty much have done that. You've done it. You can design.
Thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, thanks for confirming that, Lizzie. So yeah, that'll be available for you. I can't see any other questions, so I'm just going to say thank you very much to everyone for joining us today. I will be sharing kind of the links, and I'll be able to share the recording. But if you have got any questions, please feel free to get in touch if you wanted to get in touch with someone after the webinar today. But thank you very much for everyone for taking the time out of your day, and hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.